Hey, good morning. It's Friday, June 10th, 8:27, just about 2.5 minutes before the open. I've got the overnight price action on the right side here. So this is the 5-minute chart. I just pulled it up. I was not trading pre-market. Let me adjust this here. So some pretty big movement we've got here. Just bumping against the lows. So I'll take it off the overnight session. So we've come down quite a ways. Just removing all this stuff. All right, so here's our daily chart. We've got just another minute before the open. Here's our daily. So this was a close yesterday. Took that out. My thesis was correct as far as going lower. That little runner I had on it ended up getting stopped out, and I just wasn't around to manage that trade later in the day. So sold off nicely, came down here, and now we are pretty close to this red dotted line. 39.40 half looks like the low as of now that we just put in a few minutes ago, and seems like resistance could be up around like 39.70s, maybe mid 70s if we get up that high. Super big gap down. Also some support below us around, I don't know, I'd call it 25, so maybe high 20s even. So it'll depend this morning whether we come up first and then fail, or whether we fail and come down first and then get a spike. Maybe we continue down. We'll just have to let the market shake out and play out in the morning in the first little bit. We have, and that big move down was based on the CPI number. I guess inflation was a little bit higher than what was thought, which that's no surprise. Would have figured that'd be the case. So we'll watch and see what the market does here, and we will trade accordingly. Again, I'll be marking the first minute of trade, and even this chart, it's hard to see because we've got such a big range here, a range of about 150 points. So I'm going to try to expand this a little bit. Yeah, it kind of stinks when it's covers such a big amount of ground, because it's hard to get the context for the movement that's actually going on. So I'm also watching this is the overnight price action on the 15-minute. This is the 5-minute regular trading hours on the right. So we'll see what we do in between these levels. All right, so we do have our first minute of trade here. We've got the opening range. I would think the width of it would be pretty big. Looks like 48 to about 58. So yeah, 10-minute or a 10-point range in the opening minute there. It's pretty big. So again, popped up to 60. It's just getting sold off. I would think it kind of pushes a bit lower here. Yeah, attack. Huge, just massive gap. I don't think it, I don't know, man. I'd be surprised. Anything can happen. So, who knows? I would be surprised if it fills it today. Doesn't mean I won't take a long today. Doesn't mean I won't take a short today. Yeah, I hate how these are. I wish I don't like them all like big and fat. The 1 minute bars, but it's just such a big gap down here. It's hard to get as much context with big moves. I mean, even these are really big moves. These are 10 points in 1 minute, which is covering a lot of ground. Here's our daily. So I'm pulling the 20s, like the 20 number from here. Kind of looking at these levels. Got this area, this right here, the bottom of this wick. Maybe we see a pop there. So yeah, it looks like almost a 30-point range on the first 5-minute bar. We just started the second. So here's this, which again, it doesn't look like much because this has covered so much ground, but this is a big move. This is 30 points in 5 minutes, just under 30 points, but you get the idea. Okay, so we've put in a new, this was the overnight low, this 40 level, which it had just made right here just a few minutes before the open. Oops. It's a good amount of volume. Yep. First battle zone is this 40 level. I wasn't buying right here. I was Looking for the market to try to push a bit lower first. Good move right there, 32. We're up at 42 right now. I'm looking for a spot to get involved here. We do have some kind of number coming out at what time? At 9 o'clock Central. I'm gonna buy just a little bit right here. I'm in just a quarter the size that I'll let myself get into. Might have jumped the gun on it. I'll add some more if we get below this low of the day. So again, I'm in pretty small, just a quarter the size. Might look to add some. I'm aware I'm trying to catch the knife. I'm gonna sell 20% of it right there. Sell a little bit more right there. Sell a little bit more right there. Okay, so I'm in, where are we at here? Like 30% of this, 35% of what I originally had. I will add some more if we come down here, take out this low. Really got to get above 50. That's the next battle area, and then of course we'd have to get above this up here. Just gonna be patient. Okay, so they rejected 50. I almost got back involved a little bit more, but I'm gonna wait. Just gonna wait. Good pop off of 40. So I'm in just like 35% of my original position that I'm in. And again, it was small. It was a quarter of what I'll let myself get into. So it wasn't big. I was looking to add a little bit more if we came down here and took out the low, which we haven't done yet. 50s are, it's our next battle area, but we've definitely got our work cut out for us as far as getting higher. So far I can't, so this is our new battle zone. I know it's kind of hard to see. Hopefully well, as time goes on, we'll put in more data and we'll get rid of this gap and it'll look a little bit more regular. So on this trade, I started off with 25% of what I'll let myself get into, and right now I'm just holding 10% of what I'll allow myself to trade because it is like a catching the knife type of play. Aware that today it's pretty volatile. I'm gonna sell a little bit more right there. All right. So a little bit more at 50. So I'm in just 15% of that original trade size from down here. Here we go. Next battle area is going to be the 60 up here. Just micros, especially on a day like today. I might load up and get heavier later, but for this move right here, I'm just in small. All right, please bet scale it at 50. I'm holding just a tiny bit now, but it's really small. Same thing. I'll look to add if we pierce a bit lower down here. I might even flatten it if we get lower. Let's see. So they keep selling 50. I'm just gonna flatten that position right here. Okay, so I'm flat now. Gonna let some more data come my way and let things develop a bit more. Another half minute till we get a new 5-minute bar. Pretty big range so far. From 60 down to, call it almost 30. So 30-point range here. He keeps selling it at 50. So here's our 15-minute and 5-minute here. 15-minute. I sold 50. See if we get below this like 36 level, like right here. See what we do down there. Just gonna look for a little bit more context here. Yeah, high 20s. Yeah, high to mid 20s. We'll see. Yeah, this is a lot of like volume took place here. It's gonna be hard to push above, I think. Be hard to get above like high 70s. This is the hour chart right here that I just pulled up. So looks like kind of, let's see, definitely like another congestion area here where there's been, looking at this, we could have some support in the mid 20s, but then there's a lot of action that took place in here, which serves as resistance. There's this here. So I don't know, we'll see. They sold it, they keep selling that 50, so I'm not a buyer, not yet. Okay, again, that 36 area, that's another area of contention. Today's a good day where if you just give it time, I think, and then kind of find out what the battle zones are, I feel like you'll get a little bit more clarity as the day goes on. There's going to be big moves too, like big pops. So in my mind, I don't want to get head faked because I see what is, normally speaking, a big pop, but today it's just it's all relative, right? So today you'd expect to see some big moves. So here's 36. Let's see if they can push below that. Got another minute and a half till we get a new 5-minute bar. Looks like we take out that low. I mean, just kind of meandering down. Not to say that we don't get a pop, but it feels like we'll take that out. Get rid of this guy. So I'm just watching and observing at this point. Just waiting, hanging tight. So they took out the lows. Yeah, we got this news in what, 3 minutes? 3 minutes. Here is the, let's see. Here's the 15, here's the 5. Again, kind of hard to see because it's a big gap. We're not seeing a bunch of context right here. See if they do a 36. So, oh, here's, so I said I'm gonna change this from the hour. So I mentioned the high to mid 20s earlier. But we'll see what happens down there. If we get down there, we may not. We may be 50 points higher, we might be 50 points lower. Okay, we got one more minute till this news comes out. So big gap day today. That means there's the potential for a lot more movement. Yesterday was a gap day, had the potential for a lot more movement. We did in fact get that. Yesterday was like a regular size gap. Today, big gap down. So 36 and 40, that's the levels we want to watch in my opinion. Really where the yellow line is here and then the dotted red line, this is the overnight low. Which again was put in just a few minutes before regular trading hours, so. I'm not doing anything just yet. I had a little trade earlier, got long down here, scaled out, was in it very small. All right, there's the mid 20s that I mentioned earlier. 25, 24. So since I'm an outside-in trader, I've got to be, since I prefer that, I've got to be careful on days like today. There's a lot of movement. Looking to catch a bottom. If I do that, I've got to go in small. Okay, we blasted through the mid 20s. Here we are in the high teens. Let's see if there's any other areas that might be. Big 1 minute bars here. Let's see. 36. Yeah, so yeah, that's 10 points in a minute. That's another 10 points in a minute. Here's our daily. Seems very likely now that this gap doesn't get filled. Again, anything can happen. Just looking for levels. This could be interesting down here. 38.80, another 35 points lower. Big bar there, 34 down to 13. So again, 5 minutes, another 30 points. This was a 30-point bar here in 5 minutes. This is the same as far as the range is covered. So good amount of volatility. Now I think we'll watch the mid to upper 20s and see if it's not resistance. I would think, yeah, somewhere if we pop up somewhere around mid to high 20s might be resistance now. So just trend days where there's a lot of movement, it's enticing because you see, man, it's moving so much. On a 1 minute bar, it's moving 10 points. And there is a lot of opportunity, a lot of money to be made, but it's also, it's pretty risky. Not that you can't trade on a day like today, but you've really gotta, like today, I wanna know my levels. I wanna let the 1 minute set up, 5 minute as well, wait and see kind of where capitulation is gonna happen, and then try to make an assessment from there. Or maybe I see just some incredible weakness and I look for continuation of that weakness. So right now, let's look and see where halfback is. So halfback's right here at that 36 level. So that could be another spot too where it comes to halfback, short it. You'd be wrong above, say, like 41. You could try that. But again, know where you're wrong. It's okay to stick your neck out and make some trades on a day like today, but you've gotta know where you're wrong. And because this is one where let's say I try to get long right here, and it could be within 3 minutes we're 30 points lower than this level. Or if I short it here, if I'm short here, I'd want to know like, okay, maybe I'm wrong up above here, or maybe above this area I'm wrong. But it's just a day where you could come in, do business at a level, and then it really moves a lot. Just refer to the daily again. So here we are, here we be. Yeah, 3,900 could be an area. I'm not in a hurry though. Not in a hurry today. Huge bars, Tech says. Yes, that is true. Any trades for you yet, Tech, or no? I thought about shorting 50 when we were up here, but I was in that long position, and 50, it could have been a decent short holding against the high of the day, more like that. So again, I've mentioned that that's a trade that some guys will take, where we push below that opening range. It's called the opening range retest it, and look to get short, figure that they'd be stopped out here or here. So that was a nice trade today. But, in my mind at this point, I thought I wasn't going to get involved with that one. So you're short. You were short 39.40. I'm guessing so if you were stopped out at 48. Who else here? We got the gold guy here. The gold, the old prospector. Oh, you got out at 38. Okay, at 40. Oh, that's good. 39.40. Yeah. Yeah, so like a day like today, you've just got to consider the structure. So let's say you take trades and usually your stop is, I don't know, 7 points away or 10 points away or whatever it is. On a day where there's a lot of volatility, you've got to look at it structurally, which I'm not telling you anything new tech, but just reminding myself and talking to anyone else who's watching. You've got to look at the structure of it and say, okay, I place trades and my stop is usually 8 points, but today we're getting so much movement where if I get short here or long here or whatever, where am I wrong structurally? Where does the chart have to show that the structure is broken in order for me to get out? And that needs to be your stop. Okay, so another little area right here at 13. Whoops. Might be too early to mark that one, but so yeah, call it 14. Nah, man, a day like today, it's tempting to have your finger on the trigger, but you're not gonna miss it, man. You're not gonna miss it. Fingers off the trigger. Finger off the trigger. Got wrecked on CPI, walked away from screen at a bad time. Amateur mistake, gonna sit on my hands, rest for day as punishment. Gold fever. Yeah, I've been there. Anymore if news comes out. Sometimes I'll trade pre-market, but it's not too often. I chose not to today. And usually I'll let the news come out and try my best to wait 4, 5, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, maybe 8 minutes or 10. Again, looking for structure, looking for a tell, looking for what the market's trying to do. But yeah, big, hopefully you weren't in it like before the number, because yeah, that was a big move down. All right, so here's 07, 39.07.5. We'll watch 14, see if it pops up above it. Just going to look at our, again, I don't really trade fib, but I do like to see where a halfback is. I will trade a fib on a 78 retracement every now and then. All right, so halfback's at 33. I'm not going to draw anything right there. Gold fever prospecting. Yeah, it's good to walk away. Good to cool off. I mentioned before that regarding like longer term trading for me, if I'm selling, I've done a lot of like put selling in large and mega cap companies, like real stable companies. I've got some puts sold in FedEx right now and Starbucks. And then I'll buy stocks outright as well. Man, when I'm trading those and it's like a longer time frame, it's very easy for me. I don't struggle with having a stop, like getting out, knowing my levels, taking a loss, but there's just something about how dynamic the market is on a 5 minute by 5 minute basis, where you can start to become very subjective very fast. Whereas, if I'm placing a trade on some stocks and I think, okay, I've got anywhere from a month to a 3 month time frame, I know my levels, and I know where I'm right, I know where I'm wrong. If it comes to that level where I'm wrong, for whatever reason, it's not hard for me to just get out of it and be done and clean my hands of it. But regarding shorter term stuff, it's, for myself at least, it's kind of the final frontier where I'd like to master this, and really I'd like to master myself. It comes down to mastering our own emotions, and if we can have control of our emotions, again, I've mentioned that's the only thing we've got to manage. If we manage emotions, we'll be able to manage everything else. So here's that 14 level. Let's see what they do there. 5 minute, I don't want to say it's bottoming yet. It could be. It's at least paused and then slowing down here a bit. Big down day. Oops. And yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, some days, I can sit here, I'm just cool as a cucumber. And then other days, usually days where there's a lot of movement, I can be a little bit more, or sometimes a lot more, antsy, anxious, anticipatory, trying to project what's going to happen before I have clear confirmation, because there's fear that I'm going to miss the move. So again, we've got to go back to defining and saying that I can and will have a outstanding performance every day. And an outstanding performance can be defined as watching the market, just watching and observing what the market's doing, right? Not fearing that you're going to miss the trade. So knowing I don't have to fear I'll miss it. Maybe I won't get the best entry price, but I'd rather have something to lean on, and know where I'm wrong than just trying to, throw anything against the wall and see if it sticks. And then lastly, just executing with my stops in place and my targets in place. Simple, right? Very simple, but not easy. So I can and will have a winning performance every day. And it talks about being process oriented. What's the process? Am I following the process well? If I'm sticking my neck out there and trading pre-market for CPI on a Friday when we've already had a huge down day yesterday, I'm not following the process well. And I've heard Mark Douglas say, when we take trades that are more just well, I'll just take this trade and see what happens, when it's not something that is a setup of ours, he talks about the desire to be rewarded for random activity. And if that trade goes wrong, we can tell ourselves then, well, it was random. How was I to know? So the real test is, can we make trades and then go in with size on ones that we have strong conviction about, ones that are within our wheelhouse as far as setups that we like. That's the true test, I think. And I think we can always stand to improve no matter where we're at. I mentioned I worked with a trader last year who's he used to be the owner of a firm called Market Delta, and he's traded for 20 plus years. And it was cool because he'd say, I'm learning every day, and I'm always looking to sharpen my skills and get better at what I do and improve and learn. And I think, man, that's pretty cool. He had just tremendous work effort. I really admired him for it. Gold fever. Yeah. Never get cocky. Yeah. Yeah, it's good to know that the market, again, I love quoting Mark Douglas because he just reminds us that anything can happen and something will happen. So if we know that anything, truly anything can happen, we could end up 200 points higher today. We really could. Is it likely? I don't think so. But what do I know? We could end up 200 points lower today. Is it likely? I mean, crazier things have happened, right? We've had the flash crash. We've had 9/11. There have been, days where the markets have gone out of control. And so if we're prepared for the fact that anything can happen and something will happen, then we should be in a good place where we can protect ourselves. Now, on the other hand, it's good to remind ourselves that there's some days where we really are in sync with the market. We really are feeling what it's doing. I feel like yesterday was one of those days for me. I wasn't around to trade later in the day, but it came up to some nice levels and then sold off quite quickly looking at the 5-minute chart. And to me, I thought, ooh, that looks indicative that we just push lower and then careen lower the rest of the day, the rest of the afternoon. And I read it well. I was correct. What's a bummer is that, there's days where we can read it and see it. We really have a good handle for what's going to happen. And there's days when we don't. And it's knowing the days that we don't, like how to take a loss well, how to just sit back and wait, how to read it. I'm talking so much right now probably to help keep myself out of getting involved at any of these levels. So again, I've got the hour pulled up here, not the 15, looking at a little bit longer time frame. $38.80 for me, that's going to be an interesting level. And you think, well, man, why don't you short it? I don't know. In my book, the short would have been up here, but I mean, it just woulda, shoulda, coulda, right? Like at this point, like I mentioned, I thought, okay, well, we could really go and maybe go up to this level, and a target I would have had would have been for like low 70s, and that would have been my spot to get out. But that didn't happen, and so it's easy to see now, oh yeah, like just short that thing, just ride the wave lower. Tech, what are you seeing on the 9 SMA chart? You got that 9 pulled up on the 3-minute? Is that what you use, or use it on the 5-minute? What's your go-to? Hey, Jan R, good morning. Jan R. Let's see here. Sorry, guys, I just pulled this up. I took a trade earlier, Jan R. It was a really quick one. I was in 25% of what I'll allow myself to get into, so small, because I wasn't where I was trying to catch the knife. It was right around here at this level, then just scaled some out here. It took my last off the table here. Well, not the last, and then exit out of it here as it looked like it was getting weaker. 9 SMA. I took that short. Got on at 39.23. Hey, well done. Where were you short from, Jan? Yeah, I went long. I was catching the knife. It was early. It was right in the first few minutes of trade. It was like first 5 minutes. Getting long around like 36, and then rode it up to mid to high 40s and then scaled some out at 50. On the 3-minute. Gotcha, Tech. That's cool. 39.13. Yeah, that's no surprise, right? Like there's that 39.13 level right there. Oh, well done, Jan R. That's cool, man. Yeah, this was a nice candle right here, where we opened here, came up, right, like, because we had that level, looking at pop, got rejected, and so at least on a 1-minute, that's one where you never know if it's going to hold support there and then go higher, but I suppose you could have got short here, which it looks like you did, be wrong above this level, and then ride it down, so well done on that. $39.13, yeah. Here we go, just careening lower. So it's 9:30, almost 9:30. Could get. I feel like maybe one of those days where we could get a reversal, a 10:30 reversal. So 10:30, I think London squares up. They're ending their session, so you could have a lot of people who are in. Shoot, a lot of guys who shorted this the other day as we failed. This was Wednesday. Looked like it was trying to push above. At that point, this area was kind of curling, right, like wedging a bit, as you can see here. And there were some guys who thought we're going to get long, and didn't happen, so it failed. And then so you'd feel like the guys who shorted, especially today being a Friday, that we could see a nice reversal down here somewhere. I think. Maybe not. Could just sell off. Could just grind lower the rest of today. Hard to say. Hey, good morning, guys. Just wondering if anyone's taken any trades yet. Some big downward movement. Pretty big selling off. So be curious to know who's gotten involved, or if you've taken anything, or if you're just patiently waiting. Sorry, if you guys are saying something, I don't always have that screen pulled up where I can see what people are saying, so I'm not ignoring you. I'm just watching what I'm doing here. Turn me on mute too if you need to. I don't want to mess up anyone's trade or anyone's mojo. I know everyone who trades has different styles. I was watching with a guy on Discord. He's a phenomenal trader. He'd be done usually by the first hour of the day, sometimes by like 10. Great trader, but boy, his style was just so different from mine, and it was hard for me to stay focused and have a clear head. There were some levels every now and then that he'd get into that I liked, but it was tricky. So don't let me dissuade you or persuade you. I don't know. I'll be the first one to say I don't know. Every trade we don't know. Like, we don't know if it's going to be a winner or a loser. We don't know if it's going to be a winner for 10 points or 30 or 50. It's hard to say. No, there's some days where you've got a lot better idea, right? Like yesterday, it felt really right to be shorting it, to be getting short, looking for shorts. Okay, so it came up to that, looks like 39.12 half, right around there, which Tech said was the 9 SMA. So far, still putting in lower lows, lower highs. 15-minute hour chart still just still selling off hard. What? Let's see. 8:30, 8 to 9, 9 to 10. So it's got a little while yet. So again, here's the hour chart. 73, 55, 80. All right, so let's look at the 5-minute, and here's the 15. So again, big movement on these. It doesn't show because of the gap, but a lot of ground's been covered. So here's our 5-minute. Selling off hard, slowing down a bit now. And here's our 1-minute. There's 13. Okay, 5-minute firming up a little bit here now. I'm gonna pull up NASDAQ real quick. These are just older lines that I have in there. Pardon them. Pardon the lines. All right, back to the 15-minute here on this one. I think another thing that helps me with the longer term trades is that the longer term trades that I take where I'm holding it for months or multiple months is that it's easier when you take a break to come back at it and like see a picture. So even sometimes just getting up, going away, and then coming back, there's more of a snapshot in your mind like, oh, it's different now, versus if you're just sitting watching, it can kind of the waters can get muddied a little bit. Well, it could be for me today that the only trade I take was right here. So this 13 level, this is important. Little battle zone here. I'm going to step away for just a minute. I'll be right back. Just going to take a little break. Pull up a fib here. Look at our retracement. Looks like half back is around 31. Getting a good pop here for sure. Above that 13 level. Let's see if it holds. Big reversal bar on the 15-minute there. And remember, 32 was the level we broke. It was kind of that low that we put in earlier. Yep. This is that. 32. Half back is like 31 something. So right around here. Let's see here. 02, 12, 22. Days like today, it helps when I'm just really, really patient. And it might be that I don't take a trade. It might be that I take one and I load up on it. So here's another little battle area, this 20 level. Kind of, they're defending that area there. See if they do a 13. $9.43. Just sitting back and waiting. Alright, they're trying to take out 20. Let's see if they take this out now. Feels like they will. So 13 in fact held. Alright, that was our resistance. Right? Support, resistance, resistance, resistance. Gets above it, support, support. Almost got up to 25 there. What we get up to? What's the high on that one? High 23 3/4 on this one. So almost made it up to 25. Still holding 13 for support as support. So let's see if it pushes higher or if it takes out 13. This can be tricky for me sometimes where I want to get involved, I want to get short, looking for another retracement. But different days, it just has different flavors, different tempo to the market. So the question is, do we get short here? Do we get short here? Do we get short here? But it's not concerning. I mean, it's ones in the past that I've fallen victim to where I've thought, oh man, if you didn't catch the move down or if you only caught part of it, you think, well, I want to get involved again, so I better be active and do something. All right, let's see how we hold 20 here. So in my mind, that's a little battle zone. $20. Poor lows at 3,900. Yep. All right, there's a pop up to 25. I'll be watching 20 to see what we do around there to consider a short. I want to watch and see how 25 behaves. So that's the question in my mind. Do we push higher than this, go up a little bit more, or was that it? Gonna let the 5-minute bar set up a little bit more. Here we are on the 5-minute. So sometimes this is a bread and butter trade for me where we put in a few 5 minutes solid here for 15 or 20 minutes where we can see some kind of congruency of a level here, and then I'll look to go ahead and get short and see some follow through. Pretty big wick on the 5 minute now. We're below that 20 level. So it came up to 25 that I mentioned earlier. Let's see what they do here. I'm gonna look to sell a little bit right here. And I'll probably get out if we close much above here. I'm not in too much. I'm not in too heavy. So we've got another minute to go. Ideally, we see this 5 minute candle. Might have jumped the gun there a little bit, but I'd like to see this 5 minute candle close about in line with here or even lower to see some kind of continuation further. My stop is pretty tight on this one, so we'll watch it here. So my stop's just above this wick here. Not loving the price action. There we go. Let's see if we can break below 20 again. That's kind of the level I want to see it break below. 20, first target's going to be down here to 13. Taking a little bit off the table right there. Not much. Looking for 13 here if we can get a little bit lower. Come on, give me a little push lower. There we go, I'll take some off right there. Okay, so I'm still in 2/3 of my position. Stop now is definitely going to be above this. See if we can continue a little bit lower. Actually, my stop is going to be that point right there. So my stop's up here. Looking for it to come down to 13, thinking we might get a little bit of a bounce there. Come on. I'm scaling out a little bit right there. I'm in half of my original position. Didn't let it get to 13. Again, sometimes I I jumped the gun a bit on these. Looking for a little bit more continuation down. I'll buy a little bit more right there. All right, I'm in a third of the original position. See if we can push lower here. So I'm in 1/3 of the original position. I got in this thing at 30% of what I'll allow myself to get into. And stop's going to be right here above, or right here at this level. It's a good like structural spot. So, oh, I'm sorry. We'll pull up the 5-minute. The stop on this one's going to be at the top of this wick right here. Got another minute to go on this bar. Let's see if we can't get some continuation. Definitely look for, here's a level that I like on one like this. See if we can ride it down to the 786, down to like 08. All right, I'm gonna take a little bit more off the table right here. We just bought some back right there. So I'm in a 1/6 of the original position. I was getting short up here around 22. Big 5-minute bar coming down here. Sorry, it's so messy and muddied up. Let's remove that. Remove drawing. Okay, so this is a nice trade that where I mentioned that on a retracement, it's tricky because like where does it retrace to? I know I mentioned 25 earlier. 31 was half back, but on this, once we put in 3 bars, we put these 3 in. Actually, I got in just about a minute and a half before this bar was closed, but the thought was that it came up here, looked like it was meandering a little bit, and I might flatten right here pretty soon. I'm gonna flatten right here. All right, I'm out of that one. Didn't leave a runner on just in case. Well, just in case nothing. Probably would have been a good spot on a trend day like today to leave a runner on for that one. But I'm still pleased with the price action there. Worked out in my favor well. Didn't take any heat on it really. Got involved and got out. So on a day like today, I mentioned that we might look for a 10:30 reversal. It's 10 o'clock right now Central Time, but some of those 10:30 reversals, my reason for scaling out right here is that if it does reverse, this 7-8 fib level can be an area where we'll, sometimes you'll see a reversal. But we are below that 13, but that was the reason for me getting out of that thing. Trend is strong to the downside. There's so many if then this with trading, because we're super strong on the downside, right? But we've got to remember, like, what's our context? Why would I consider getting long or at least scaling out at 08? Well, it's because we're way the heck down here, right? Here's our daily. So here's our daily. We've come down, come up, down here, and yeah, maybe this is it. I don't know, maybe it's not. But for me, getting short in that one spot, getting short up in the 20s, that was a nice scale out level for me. So this is something I'll note, that when there's a move of over 20 points off of a low, so like on a big trend day, move low, you get that 20-point pop. When it comes down to whatever the 0.78 is, a lot of times you'll get something, you'll usually get at least a 3-point pop down here. when it hits 7.8. A lot of times you'll usually get at least a 3-point pop, which looks like we got down to 06.75, and we're right at like 10. So yeah, for what it's worth, right? Free advice, you get what you pay for. So that could, man, let's see if it firms up here. All right, so we'll give it a minute. But yeah, that was my thought on that. Coming up, seeing the 5-minute stall out a bit, figuring I'd be wrong right here. Initially had that stop just a little bit above there, and then once we got lower, moved the stop down to here, scaled out of the rest of my position here. These are usually good for at least 10 points as well. So probably scaled out, as I usually do, a little bit too early. But these here, when you see the retrace on a big trend day, if you can get it at the right level, they're usually good for at least 10 points. And in this case, it certainly gave us 10. On the runner, on the 2 that I left, it gave us a little bit more than that, so that's good. All right. Let's see if 3-minute average to range holding at 25. Wow. It's a big range. Jan, did you go short? I like if we retrace at 35 low for a short. Yeah, right on, Jan. Right too. Good job. Okay, battle zone, right? 13 to 8. Shorts want to see that level hold. Anyone taking any trades? I know JNR said I think he got in. JNR. I think JNR got short. Janner. Okay, so there we go. There was the 0.78. Good for at least a 3-point pop, which we got that. Looks like 4 points, maybe 5. Got this streaming software. I don't know if I'm live now still, if it got cut out. Yeah, good one, man. Good. Okay, that's cool. Thanks, Janar. Oh, maybe not as much. Oh, I typed it. That's why it wasn't so much of a delay. Okay, back to the market. Here we go. Okay. So another thing I learned from that guy trading. Whoa, gold's had a nice little pop. Let's look. Let me check that out real quick. I just need some gold stocks to follow now. Let's look at gold. Let me look on the daily. Ooh, wow, look at that. That's interesting. Let me drive this daily into place, then we'll get back to the E-mini. But interesting, right? Came down to 1830. Bam, right above it. Let's see if it takes out some of that. Okay, we'll get back to what we're doing here. Anyone else? Anyone else take any trades? Zach, you get anything? My charts are cloudy. Sorry about that. I blame my internet person. My internet provider. I can't wait. We're in Springfield and we're in the central town. We're like real close to downtown, and we're the last area. Last area to not get or to get fiber. So we're still waiting on that, and it'll be nice once I do. Tech, you take any trades there recently or no? Just that long earlier, yeah. Doesn't hurt to watch, man. Doesn't hurt to watch. I love how Mark Douglas says that sitting on your hands and just watching will be like putting money in the bank. Be like putting money in the bank. He isn't wrong. Oh, what I was saying, that trader I worked with last year for just about a month, he was good at just reminding me, like, hey man, you sit here, like, wait for a good setup. Don't get antsy. Don't feel like you're gonna miss it. You'll know it when you see it. Don't feel like in order to trade and to make money at it, you've got to be just super active. Just reminded me, like, it pays to just be patient, wait for a good setup, and make a move. So this trade here that I mentioned, getting short, both looking at the 1 minute and the 5 minute, that's one that in my playbook I call spike trend pullback. Who knows why I named it that, but we got a big trend going. Had a big trend, it spikes up and then it pulls back. So spike trend pullback. I used to sometimes watch volatility. I'd watch the VIX as I was doing this too. So on this one it would be, fading it, so going short. It works the other way as well, where on a long comes back in and then look to get long as well. But yeah, the VIX sometimes would give like a nice heads up. But personally, for me, like, less is more. It just feels like the less things I watch, the less it like clouds stuff up, and the less analysis paralysis I get. I'm a firm believer that price will tell you what you want to know. Price will tell you what you want to know. Okay, the question here in my mind is this it? Do we hold and do we pop higher, or do we push lower? That's the question. We're hanging out at that 0.78 or that 786 retracement on the fib, and I don't know. You put a gun to my head. If I had to make a trade, I'd go short. I feel like I'd be wrong above that lowest yellow line, that 13 area. But I'm not doing that. No one's holding a gun to my head. No, Jan, there's just a little bit more nuance to it. It helps, but not necessarily dojis, but sometimes it can be like where it's a really powerful bar here and it closed on its high. I'm looking, more than anything, instead of 3 dojis, I'm looking for usually like 1 or 2 or 3 or sometimes even 4 where the open and close kind of lines up. And again, it works 100% of the time, 50% of the time, right? Nothing's ever foolproof. But on this one, once I thought that we could have put in that high, this little spike here, I jumped the gun a little bit. I should have waited for this 5-minute bar to close. But I thought, okay, odds seem favorable that we might stall out here and then careen a bit lower. And that's why also, once that was in place, I had my stop just above that wick here, thinking that if it takes that out, then we might see 31 or a little bit higher. All right, so glad I didn't get short there. I'm sorry if I brought any any bias to anybody. So if you're looking for a long, you'd be wrong below this 05 level. So if you're looking for a long, if you think that we could have a nice big move up, which we certainly could, kind of looks like it's curling here, so could be interesting there. I'm mindful of context too. I mean, we've come down a massive amount in the last 3 days. 100. We've come down 250 points on the S&P. So who's to say that that we can't push him up here and get a nice pop higher? I might be looking for a small long. Not yet though. I'm not involved. I'm not doing anything yet. Watching the 5 minute here. Kind of hanging out. Five minutes, got another like 20 seconds to go. Here it is right here. So we kind of saw it here where there's a level that it's rejecting. Another level here where it's hanging out, meandering. Almost done on the 5 minute. Let's see how it looks. Inconclusive, in my opinion. If anything, it doesn't look that strong to me. To see the 5 minute bar like that, it doesn't look that strong. I could be dead wrong though. We could blink. I mean, literally, we could blink and we could be right up here at 39.20. We really could. So right now, I don't have an opinion, long or short. I'm just gonna let it play out and see what we get. Where you at, Janar? Ecuador. Ecuador. I'm in Ecuador and couldn't believe it's all fiber here. Nice. Hey, that's good, man. Good deal. I got some good friends who just went to do missionary work down in Ecuador. Him and his wife and 4 kids. Good couple. I think they're outside of... I can't remember the big city. I want to say Quito. I believe they're outside of Quito. I think that's the name of it. I'm gonna get rid of that. So here's 5 minute on the bottom right. Whoops, sorry about that. Sorry if it's still cloudy. Hopefully it's a little bit more clear. They're clear on my end. Don't rush it, Jan R. You'll know it when you see it, man. You'll know it when you see it. Yeah, here's the 5 minute, just kind of meh, hanging out, not doing much. Flip a coin at this level. So I personally feel like we go lower, but Doesn't mean that we can't go higher. Almost 1020. So today, earlier I mentioned that I wanted to, the intent was to let the market set up and then make my little, draw my little lines as far as where we were doing business at. There's some days where pre-market I've got levels that I like, but there's also days where there's a lot going on. There's just a ton of movement, and you just have to let it set up and then just see what levels become important levels. What levels become support, what levels become resistance. So far it's paid off well. Who else is here today? We still got Mr. Prospector. He's still there. Gold Fever Prospecting. Who else is watching? Anyone else take any trades? Anyone else see anything else in the market? Like, oh, silver's getting a pop, or crypto's going crazy, or gold's doing this, or whatever. Sometimes it's good for me. It helps to just like take my eyes off it. Okay, getting some moves here, getting some movement. So we'll pay attention here, see if we get a little run. I'm going to buy some here. I'm in really light though. I might look to add to this guy. I'm in just 10% of what I'll allow myself to trade. Next hurdle is going to be 39.20. I almost scaled some out there at 18, but not yet. Okay, so we'll see if we get that 1030 reversal. Certainly wrong if we get below this here. All right, I'm selling a little bit right there, just a little scalp. I'm still in half of the position. I think I jumped, I don't know on this one. I'm gonna flatten right here. All right, I'm flat, I'm out of it. Had a little bit of FOMO on that one, so I'm just gonna sit back and wait. Scalped a little bit there, but not much. I guess if you draw enough things, sometimes it can make sense to you. Yeah, reason for that, this just looks like wonky to me, this stuff here. Now, I mean, it very well could be capitulation of the bears selling. This could be the start of a nice bull run where we get up here and take that out even. I just, yeah, had a little FOMO, took a tiny bit of profit, then just got out, and I'm pleased that I did. I was there's nothing for me on that one. So here we're pop above, we're back below 13. The question is now if we hold this level. So if we get below this 08 level, that'll be interesting. So hopefully all my talking helps a little bit, because I feel if you are long, if we get much below 08, certainly this, I wouldn't remain in it. Again, anything can happen, so don't let me sway the decisions that you're making one way or the other. Don't let me do that. I don't want to do that. Turn me off. Go watch some other dude. Real low volume here. Okay, so here's that 5 minute. That's interesting. So here's our 5 minute, just kind of nothing there. Came up. Bulls definitely want to see it hold here. Last line in the sand for bulls is this wick down here, I think. Could be a little head fake there. My buddy Brendan, he's real good at just catching continuations and trading trends. I would imagine that he got short way up here and he's just loving it. Yeah, he's a good one at putting like a buy order in here, not a buy, but like it's not a limit order where it's just, and then it'll just continue on down and run another good ways for him to collect some profits. So there it is. There it is. Bulls need to be out now. We're below that level. So good head fake. Good job, Mr. Market. That is the market's job, isn't it? Like to make you think you know it and then realize like, ooh, I don't. Good awareness on my part. I saw that, thought, okay, we could push up, but when I referred back to the 5 minute chart, looking as weird and wonky as it did, I just didn't have a lot of conviction. I thought, well, maybe if we get up way up to here, we get a pullback, I'll get in, but I just felt like I was prematurely trying to make something happen. So pleased with the way I managed that. And again, I mean, on that one, I was in really small. It was 10% of what I allowed myself to get into. So even if there was a loss on that, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But even then, it's good to manage risk, to manage what you're doing, to not be married to a trade. Did we put in a new low? We did not. Let's see. What's the low? 0275. 0275. I guess that would be is that a poor low? Something like that. Where the short-term Susies are doing business there. All right. Now that's interesting because came down here. And so maybe the Bears the Bulls give a head fake. So if everyone who got long up here, they got stuck, they're out. Everyone who maybe shorted here, it's giving them a little bit of resistance and a little trouble. Got to get above 08 though and really get back up into here. Got to get above 13 to show strength. So I'm not involved right here. New lows? Did it? I'm showing 02 for the low on that bar, 0275. Then right here, 0275. 02 quarter. I'm showing up to 75. Let's look at our volume here too. 22. Yeah, good amount of like scarce volume up there where we got short earlier. That's nice. Where's the rest of the volume? Yeah, then the rest of the volume is back here, like a 36 to 40 level. 40 is way in there. I can and will have a winning performance every day. I define winning as what? Watching and observing without emotion, not fearing that I'll miss the move. So like just letting the nerves be still and calm, not having fear, knowing that you'll see it and like you'll know it when you see it. And then lastly, just executing with stops and targets in place. So despite all the movement today, all the back and forth and big moves, and these are big moves, I've had one trade earlier that didn't last long, and then another trade here that was all of 6-7 minutes, and that's been it. That's it. That's fine by me. Gold's still pushing a good ways. A bit different one here, pardon me. Look at something. Go one more time. Oops. Do a different one here. Ooh, big move on gold. All right, back to ES. Crude's up, or no, crude's down a bit. Silver, let me look at silver real quick. Big move there. All right, we're back. 07, here we go. This could be a head fake. Well, the push up and then push lower. So the bulls tried there, didn't they? I mean, that was a good pop. Good pop. For me, again, that retread, the spike trend pullback, I need to see at least 20 point from low to the high in order to get involved. Now, sometimes it's 40 points. But I won't take it if it's any less than 20. Let me look at NASDAQ real quick. Again, these lines, these are like old overnight lines from when we're at this level, so those don't mean anything to me. This line was significant for whatever reason from a while ago. This line here, just looking for some levels here. NASDAQ's a harder one for me to read, man. I mean, I can see it, but goodness sake, the moves in NASDAQ can just be so quick. Definitely some money to be made. I must just be more of an old man when it comes to trading, just like it a little bit more slow and methodical. So NASDAQ bumping new lows. S&P looks like it could follow suit. put in some new lows as well. I'll get back to S&P here in a second. I just wanted to pan over to look at NASDAQ. So here's the hour chart on NAS. Looking for a level down here where we might see a bounce. I'll put the, maybe we're pretty close to that. Don't know. All right, let's get back to the ES here. Okay, new lows on the ES. There's your O2 quarter tech, and then some. Extra 1.5 or 1.25 for you. We're at 0.1 right now. Let's see. $10.34. I'm gonna be wrapping up soon. I hate to on a day like today when there's just good movement, a lot of potential. Got to be safe. Got to be careful. Yeah, and whether we drift lower for the rest of the day, whether we get a pop, that's anyone's guess, right? Anyone's guess. Brendan. Thanks. Sorry, guys. Mike was off. Odie was asking what kind of setup do you trade. I just went over. I don't know if you were watching earlier, Odie, but I trade. This is what I call the spike trend pullback, where we've got a big trend one way. I look for at least a 20-point bounce in the ES. Sometimes it's a lot more. And then I look for some kind of like capitulation, stop of that move on the 5-minute, where there's an area like a level here where there's opens and closes. On this one, I shorted at 22. Thought I'd be wrong much above like 25. Wanted to get 10 points out of it. Took some off a little bit earlier, but then let some run down to 08. So again, that's when I call the spike trend pullback. Watching the 5-minute on that one, but I look at the 1-minute for a lot of nuance and context. Yeah, but even that, I mean, when that first bar is developing, like when we were early in on it, like at this point, I'm not in a rush to get in on it. And sometimes it comes right up and then just fails and slams down hard. But like right here, I'm still aware of the fact, like, hey, we could push up to halfback, which would have been 31. We could get up to 40, which would be crazy. If it does that, there's other trades that I have where I'll get involved there. So on this, I like to see kind of like a stalling of action and then a continuation of the downside. So that's that. Hopefully that answers it. Let's see. You guys can hear me now, right? Should be able to. Okay, cool, man. I'd love to do so I like talking with other guys who are watching the markets, no matter what level they're at, and learn about like other setups that they have, like where there's a trade that is, like your bread and butter, one that you like, and why you like it. All right, well, I'm probably going to be wrapping up pretty soon here. Don't have much else to say. So this was an interesting little head fake here, wasn't it? Where we came up and then flushed right back down. Second entries on 2000 tick chart. That's cool. Yeah, I used to watch a bunch of tick charts. The main charts I watch, regarding setup, that was a trade setup, but regarding setup, really the only stuff I watch is the daily chart on the ES, the 15, which is here, the 5, and the 1. 1 can be very noisy, but I do like it for context. There's guys who will trade, I think Ninja Trader calls it volumetric bars. It's the bars, like footprint bars that they've been called, where you're seeing like the delta and who's aggressively buying, who's aggressively selling. I can't, I don't have that. I don't trade. I have it, but I don't trade off of that using it. For me, it's a little too noisy. And I feel like usually the 1 minute I can get a good picture of like who's doing what, who's in control. 38.99. That 08 level, that's important. But yeah, it'd be cool to do like a Zoom hangout or something. Talk to some of you guys, and I love sharing ideas with other traders. If there's like if I've got a class A setup that I like, which was the one today, the spike trend pullback where we shorted it earlier. For me, that's one that I feel very confident about. I like doing it. And then if a guy like Tech or Jan R or Odie or someone else says, I really like this setup. For me, it's just another tool that I can put in my toolbox. All right, interesting bar here on the 5 minute. Coming up to 08. Let's see if we push past it. Here's the 15 minute. On the 15 minute, the shaded area was the pre-market session. Pre-market sesh. Well, boys and girls, I'm gonna wrap it up. I feel like there still could be some great opportunities today, so be patient, trade well, know where you're right, know where you're wrong. I think that's going to do it for me. All right, everyone, have a great Friday, have a great weekend. Trade in a way where you will not have a heavy mind over the weekend. There's nothing worse than trading poorly on a Friday and just like thinking about it during the weekend and trying your best to like get it out of your mind. I hate that. So trade well, have your stops in place, and you can trade well and have a losing day, right? It's all about following the process well. Did I follow the process well? Like there have been Fridays where I've lost money, but I followed my process well. My stops were in place. My risk was managed, where like I can have a great weekend knowing that I acted accordingly. And then there's other days where I had winning days, but I didn't follow the process well. And I felt like, man, I was just thankful to get out alive and dodge a bullet on those days. So trade well, manage your risk. You guys be good. Have a good weekend. See you back here Monday.